What's up, Nerd Crew? Nurdie J here, and let's take a look at a vintage Digimon toy, Guardromon, that digivolves into Andromon. Let's take a look. Cue the intro! On the machine type of Digimon, Guardromon protects the digital world's vast digital networks by reinforcing its firewalls. Though Guardromon are good at ironclad defenses, some hackers are capable of hacking Guardromon's programs with viruses and use Trojan horses to hide from Virus Buster Digimon before kicking them out when antivirus program boots up within Guardromon again. In Season 1, the only time Guardromon is shown was in a flashback being led in the past before the start of the series by the Dark Master Paidamon, trying to steal the 8 Digi-8s from the Digidestined, ultimately ending in failure. In Season 2, a group of Guardromon are under the control of the Digimon Emperor by a Dark Ring. Guardromon's two main attacks are Guardian Barrage, where Guardromon fires missiles with whistles attached to them from a hidden retractable launcher from its forearms, and Warning Laser, where it fires lasers from its eyes. For articulation, nothing in the main body. Legs don't really move. I'll explain that later. The ankles can rotate, but be careful, there are other feet attached to it. And the upper leg can, right here at the upper thigh, it's kind of hidden because of the shell of his gut. The thing is that it can swivel as well. For the arms, he can rotate them. It is on a thoopy ratchet type of thing. And then the arms can go forward and back, rotate a little bit in and out, and nothing at the fist per se, just that they can shrink and come back. That is it for this guy. So essentially, let's get into the Digivolution. Now, it can be a little cumbersome for me because I am using outstretched arms, and there's a lot of finicky panel work sometimes. So depending on how I accidentally transform this guy. So first off is you shrink the arms like that. And it is not the best of snaps, in my opinion. It is a lot of force that you have to put in, and then when it snaps, I swear to God, I'm breaking plastic. So, bring up the arms. There are little panels back here that you can, but it angles it up, so I just push straight from the fist, and then just guide it with this. So, you got that. Then you stretch out the legs. So, you could have a taller Guardromon if you want. Yeah, where the angle of the camera is, you do show it, the Andromon parts, but from where I'm standing, or it should be sitting above the camera, that essentially, yeah, then you pivot the legs like this. So, you got that. Bring down this backpack. It is pigged in. There we go. So, you do that, then you split the backpack apart. Then you you unpeg the gut. Oh, okay. Maybe you bring the gut down. It is a little finicky at times because it does peg into each other and it pegs into the tops. So right up here, I don't know how well that's showing, but right up here is some pegs, holes. Here's some pegs, and here's a peg here, and it just pegs in multiple places, so it is kind of tricky. And so essentially you rotate the knees around to form the correct position of the legs, like so. Then you bring up the Guardromon, bring it back, bring it around. And that snap is just I guess what you would consider a stooping point, but it's more of a snapping point than anything, as you could hear. So, yeah. Oh, that does not sound the greatest. Anyway, and then essentially you just want to get all this kibbly bits that is Guardromon up and out of the way. He will not be without a backpack, unfortunately. But essentially, you raise up Andromon's gut. So you got that. And then this is the tricky part because you got to go and avoid the shoulder and the head. And you got to get this arm, like, somehow, like, rotate around on that panel that the arm is connected to. And then you got to swing it around. And I have not found a good way of doing this. But essentially, you want it up like this and pretty much smooth. This panel is smooth against this panel. So you just rotate this panel. You rotate that around. Then bring the arm down. And then you swing it in fully. And then essentially you just have it hanging out in the back now. Which does cause some stability issues, but... and then you take the arm, slide it out. Take the hand, slide it out. I said arm on accident. And just make sure you pop that in. And then essentially you have Andromon. So there's that. Let's reposition. So Andromon has, I think, a little bit more articulation because now he does have knee joints, but they don't really function all that well. So they go about that far. You can possibly get him further, but then you'll be clanking into this, and you're taking a risk of breaking it. So I don't know if you can tell, but there's a fracture right here, and it goes all the way through. Thing is, when I bought this guy from the eBay seller, essentially this panel was barely hanging on, and the legs were glued together because they are supposed to have a ball joint here. So I tried to take, because this part was down, it looked fully connected, the ball joints onto the arm, on the legs. The problem was that they glued the ball joint into the socket as they were gluing this in. So I was able to get this reconnected, but I couldn't get the legs undone because every time I tried to okay, well, I'll just pry something underneath it and just pop it out. No. Essentially, I started warping plastic on the inside, and essentially the stress turned into a bit of a fracture. So I just left it alone. One of these legs does have a little bit of a give, thanks to that. And then I just had to glue this back in and file it down just a little bit so it's smooth. But yeah, I would complain about that, honestly. But the thing is that this guy has been known to go for like $100 plus usually, and that's in this condition. I only paid under $60 for it because the seller was accepting offers and they were kind of in a move or something, and so essentially I offered $55 or so because it did come with free shipping and stuff. So I did score a little bit of a deal on top of already a good deal. So there's that. For articulation, head can swivel, but you're not getting much. The thing is these, what are they? They're not pylons, but they're whatever, and they get in the way. And I think the head is on a ball joint because you can have a little bit of wiggle up and down. Just a wiggle, though. Arms can rotate 360, and then they barely can go in and out. Elbows, and then the swivel above the elbow. Nothing in the wrists. These legs are supposed to be able to rotate it outward, up and outward due to the angle, but it does not work. And you have a ankle tilt, I guess you want to call that, and then the ankle swivel within the same joint because it is just a ball joint. So there is Andromon. A cyborg-type Digimon, Andromon has immense strength, able to defeat any Digimon champion level or lower with just one punch. Andromon is also a prototype cyborg, so he has no will of his own and isn't capable of emotions. In Season 1, Andromon was found in a fully automated factory by the Digidestined. They heard a noise and found Andromon under some collapsed machinery. Once Andromon was freed, the Digidestin spotted a black gear embedded within one of his legs. During an intense battle with corrupted Andromon, the Digidestined Izzy, along with his partner Tentomon, achieved a program that freed Andromon in the last-ditch effort. With the black gear dissolved, Andromon automatically reboots his true programming of kindness. Later in Season 2, Andromon reappears under the control of the Digimon Emperor via a dark ring. Thanks to Kari's somehow miraculous tears, awakens Andromon from his hypnosis from the dark ring, allowing Andromon to be his kind self once again. Andromon has two main attacks, his first being his lightning blade, where he straightens his hand and spins it at high speed, causing an energy blade-like beam released from his hand as he swings his arm forward. The other attack is Gatling Missile, launching two homing missiles from behind his lower chest plate. I hope you liked this brief rundown of Andromon's bio, along with Guardromon, and I hope you enjoyed this Digivolution video. I've been Nurdie J for Nurdie Boys, and I'll catch you next time.